welcome back to the Who Are You to Lead Anyway podcast. This is the place where we master the skills to navigate leadership and life with more ease and less angst. I am your host, Cynthia Jameson, leadership, life, and career growth coach. And this is episode 93. And I am so glad you're here. As I'm recording this, it is the Victoria Day weekend here in Canada. And I know that is the Memorial Day weekend coming up in the US next week. And I know this because I have a lot of clients in the States that I work with. And so wherever you are, whenever you're listening, I hope that you've had a great little break. And I recognize that you might be organizing yourself for the week to come up, or you might also be trying to get a lot of things done before you have your little bit of a break next week. Either way, I'm wishing you a great week. And today I want to talk to you about a trend that's caught my attention. Now, as high performing, results driven leaders, many of you are not taking conscious control of your career. How do I know? Because you're telling me. So instead, many of you are placing your career in the hands of others. And I just want to say this is not a judgment, it's an observation, and it has an impact. So I have done a prior episode, number 13, where I talked about the benefits of taking charge of your career, the risks of relying on others, and how to set yourself up for success long term, along with some best practices for giving yourself the upper hand. Now, if that's useful to you, you might want to go take a listen, especially if you haven't listened to it before. And what's different about this episode is this week, I want to talk about a tricky triangle, which is between the HR department, the talent department, and your supervisor slash manager. Now, I have spent a lot of time many, many decades caught in the middle as an HR professional and a leadership development specialist. And this triangle has leaders abdicate or take a more passive approach to their professional growth. So, this episode is dedicated to exploring why this is happening, why it's a problem, and I want to demonstrate both sides of the coin with client stories. Now, my desire is to bring you behind the curtain so that you can claim or reclaim even 2% control over your professional destiny. Now, what am I getting on about with this 2%? So, I think the way that I've always thought about careers, well, maybe I didn't always think this in the beginning because I've learned this over time as it happened to me. But here's the thing, you can look at partnerships, like partnerships are super important to have, but from a career perspective, I would just offer for you to think about it this way. For you to have at least 51% ownership over your career and your employer to have 49%. So that leaves you that extra 2% for you to be able to differentiate yourself. And there's a lot you can do with that 2%, even just from a mindset perspective. When you actively put yourself in the seat of driving your own career, owning your own career, you show up differently. So, with that, let's break it down. Now, as high performing leaders, I know that you're driven, you're ambitious, and you're always looking for the next challenge. While you have a vision for yourself, there are some factors at play that I think contribute to a choice, whether it be conscious or not, to rely on your employer for career development, growth, and support. First, navigating a career path can be complex, particularly in today's rapidly changing job market and when it isn't your bread and butter. Like if this isn't something that you do for yourself every day, all day, you might not have awareness to or exposure to what's important to know about that. Second, there's a desire amongst many for a more balanced life between work and home. And so what that can often create is this dynamic where I want this work-life balance. And what that means is I release the reins on the career perspective and I let my employer take control of it. And again, not necessarily a problem as long as it's conscious and you've brought it through your own discernment. Now, the third factor that I see is that when things are uncertain in the context of work and the world, which they are right now, it's so normal for humans to seek safety and security. Of course it is. So, given these factors, it's a really good place to refresh ourselves on the motivational triad of the brain. Now, its job, the brain's job, is to do three things: seek pleasure, procreate, avoid pain, and take the most efficient path. So, the most efficient path might be I'm going to let my career be in the hands of this tricky triangle. So, it's important to have our brain's motivation in our awareness because my hypothesis is the subconscious mind is what's motivating you, motivating leaders to rely more on the company resources than themselves. It's the mind which convinces leaders or humans that are leaders to look outside of ourselves for the solution, which in this case could be the expertise we don't have to guide the development we don't know we need, or we don't know how to get the development that we need and be supported along the way. So, this isn't necessarily a problem, again, if the choices are made consciously. But this isn't what I'm seeing, which is why I wanted to talk about it. This is what I'm hearing from you as clients. This is what I'm seeing within the context of the conversations I'm having, the conversations I'm hearing, the people that are reaching out to me that are really struggling in this area. And it's only through our awareness that we can make a different and more conscious choice in service of the greater good, in service of you and your career and where you're going. So let's get into it. Now, each of these entities within the triangle has its own set of priorities and goals, which makes sense. And these functions have organizational goals and different purposes from an outcome perspective. And those goals may not align with your personal or professional ambition or aspirations, even if you think or are told that they do. So, even if you think or you are told that they do, your career aspirations and ambitions may not align with what your organization and those different functions are set out to do, the outcomes they're wanting to achieve. So let's break down this tricky triangle of career development. Now, HR departments, let's start there. Often, HR's role is to support and guide career development through structured programs and policies, procedures, etc. These programs are typically designed to cater to the broad audience, not to the specific aspirations of individual high performers. Now, there are some organizations that have programs for high performers, but it's typically still a broad or a thematic approach versus development being tailored to you, to your learning style, to your specific set of preferences, to your needs, to your motivations, to your desires. Now, just a quick caveat. I mean, this is why I do the work that I do with clients. And when we work one-on-one together, we learn about who you are, what matters to you, what's working in your life, what's not working in your life, and what would you like to be different. We identify leadership, life, and career strategies that work best for you and that are tailored for you to be able to live and lead toward the direction of your North Star, the future version of you and the life that you're creating for yourself. So now let's talk about talent leaders. Now, talent leaders focus on identifying and nurturing potential within the organization. Now, while they can be instrumental in providing opportunities, their priorities are aligned with organizational needs, which may not always match your career goals. Right. So think about what we've been hearing within the global marketplace these days. Like there's a lot of focus on diversity, inclusion, etc. A lot of focus on let's getting more representation from the female population. So those are examples of outcomes and opportunities, or not opportunities, outcomes and goals that talent leaders have that you don't have. Now, another example is a new leader program for frontline or first time leaders, or a university partnered program, or perhaps a technical program. There's so many various types of programs that can be created, but any and all of those are great. And again, they are not tailored to you. And many do it because when I say many do it, what do I mean by that? It's like organizations do it because there's a box to be checked off within your organization, right? So organizations have to prove to their CEO, to the board, to the nonprofit, to all the people that are getting the money from, that there are certain things that are being done within the context of an organization. And again, that's not a problem. That happens. Talent leaders have KPIs, they have metrics to meet that relate to employee learning and development from diversity and equity perspectives, from multiple. There could be thinking about employment equity. Like I used to do a report decades ago, just about all the different moves and how we were as an organization really promoting diversity and equity and what we were doing. We had different things that we had to commit to and promise to, and then show that we did that through annual reporting. And that was a lot of box checking, right? So if we use a metaphor of a video game, certain things must be achieved or experienced in order to get to the next level. And this is very typical of how it works within the world of work. And while there are nuances and shifts as the cycle continues, because ultimately everyone is an employee, right? So this is just the way that it works. It's like a video game. Even at the CEO level, the learning content, the pillars, the progression, or the programming, whatever words you want to use to describe how we help people elevate to the next level and set them up for success, it's all similar in some ways, right? It's focused on what someone else is figuring out that you need to be able to position you for that role, right? Now, I've not only seen this, but I've also created these pathways with and for organizations, and it doesn't leave space for discovering the fire inside of you that wants to be fanned, that wants to be stoked and tend to, which is just such a missed opportunity and something that's so needed in the world right now. I mean, there's a huge shift from purpose toward purpose driven organizations. And those are going to be the organizations that are going to be taking this strategy, right? Let's get inside and work with the people, figure out what their talents and their gifts are, and how can we create programs that can help leverage and pull that out of them. Because that lends not only to engagement, it lends to productivity, it lends to fulfillment, it lends to so much more. So, all that to say, if you are finding yourself doing things to check a box, just ask yourself, what happens if I don't check the box? Now, I know people, there's always for and against, but I know people that while they were off checking the box, other people got the role that they were in line for. And again, it's not always a problem, but at least have it within your awareness. Make conscious choices about yourself and your career growth and your next steps. Okay, so let's talk about direct managers. Managers play a crucial role in career development because they are the individuals that offer mentorship and they offer advancement opportunities. However, their perspective can be limited by their own goals and the immediate needs of their team. And so, why is any of this a problem? You might be asking yourself. So, the first reason why it's a problem, or the first problem, is misaligned objectives. Now, HR and talent leaders often focus on the organizational needs rather than the individual growth. They might place you in roles that benefit the company, but don't necessarily align with your career aspirations. Now, again, it can be totally fine. You can go and you can get learning, and that can be great. It also can be a problem. The second way that it's a problem is there's limited advocacy. So your direct supervisors might not have your best interest at heart. They have their own bias or their own limitation. They could advocate for you based on their understanding of your potential, which might not fully encapsulate your broader ambitions and capabilities. The third way it could be a problem is reduced autonomy. Now, by deferring career decisions to others, you're surrendering control over your professional journey. This can lead to missed opportunities and lack of fulfillment and engagement in your own career. And you've kind of done it to yourself when this happens, right? I mean, we have to take ownership and responsibility with those decisions that we've made. Another problem that it shows up as is a lack of personalization. Now, organizational career paths are often one size fits all, which drives me a little bit bananas. But it stifles the unique ambitions and the potential of high performing individuals like you, which is why it drives me crazy. I don't normally get so passionate about these things, but I guess as I delve deeper and deeper into what I'm seeing, what I'm hearing from my clients, and how I can support you, it's really bringing out some of these things that are systematic that are not working anymore, in my view. And I'm entitled to my view. It's my podcast. You're welcome. Okay, so the other problem that I see is reduced proactivity. So delegating career control can lead to complacency, reducing the drive within you to seek out new challenges and opportunities to learn, to grow proactively. So now I want to take an opportunity and just introduce you to John. Now, John is a high performing frontline leader at a mid sized manufacturing company, and he excels in his role. He's consistently meeting and exceeding product targets, and he's got great rapport with his team. He demonstrates strong leadership qualities. He's got great performance reviews. His goal is to move into a higher management role where he can influence broader company strategy and operations. He wants to develop strategic planning and cross departmental leadership skills. Now, his supervisor prioritizes maintaining current production levels and meeting immediate operational goals. His supervisor prefers to keep John in his current role due to his exceptional performance and fears promoting him because it might disrupt the team's productivity. And how do we know? Because John knows. Oh my gosh, like it's going to create a problem for the team. I can't take you out of this role. And lots of times as an individual, we hear that. I heard that. Oh my goodness, I can't take you out of this role because then what would I do? It's going to create this problem. It's going to create this problem. It's going to create this problem. And where I am now in my life, I mean, it's like, yeah, that's the problem. Let's solve it. How can you solve it? I can be part of the solution, but it's a problem to be solved. The answer is not keeping John in the same role. Meanwhile, talent management is focused on filling immediate leadership gaps in other departments, overlooking John's aspiration for higher roles within the company. And while they're offering their leadership training, they're not offering targeted programs aligned with John's specific career goals and needs. HR is concerned with adherence to the promotion policies, right? And ensuring that any advancement aligns with the company protocols and procedures that are in place. And so while they can aim to create fair opportunities for all employees, sometimes it's a slow and very bureaucratic process. Ask me how I know. Now, despite John's high performance, John feels stuck and he feels unappreciated. His aspirations are not being supported, and he doesn't receive the necessary development to prepare for higher roles, which limits his career progression. There's so many things that could be done. Now, John's supervisor is relying heavily on John's performance, which creates for him a dependency that can then lead to a resistance to promote John, right? So I'm so dependent on him that I really can't. I'm convincing myself that I cannot allow John to go. So the short term decision here prevents the supervisor from recognizing the benefits of John's broader career growth that can affect the team morale if John becomes disengaged, which is possible, especially if this happens more than once. And I've seen it, I know it, I breathed it, I've lived it. Now, talent management has missed an opportunity of leveraging John's full potential by not aligning development programs with his career aspirations and the career aspirations of others, right? The lack of strategic alignment with regard to John's goal results in suboptimal utilization of leadership talent within the company overall. It's like, do we want this talent to stay stifled in this smaller department, or are we willing to lose out on it from an organizational perspective, right? So, meanwhile, this is what happens, right? So now let's go back, let's bring it back to you. So while you may rely on your company for support and opportunities, effective career development is a partnership and requires you not only to drive the process, but also be engaged in the process. You have agency and you have a responsibility. After coaching hundreds of leaders for thousands of hours, I have seen what's underneath the hood. Leaders are unknowingly having limiting thoughts, preventing them from taking control of their careers. I'm going to share some of the most common ones that I see with you. So, the first one is my work will speak for itself. So, first, this is not true or helpful. This is conditioning and patterning that isn't true or moving the needle forward for anyone. Second, while performance is important, visibility and advocacy are crucial. So if you're listening, and I know you are, I know that you aspire for more, so don't get stuck here. Interrupt this looping thought and find a creative way to get yourself visible and in rooms so that you can speak for you and your work yourself. The second thought that I see that isn't helpful is HR is going to take care of my development. Listen, HR can support you, but you must drive your own career plans. Relying on HR's career paths limit your growth to predefined tracks that they have already created that have bottlenecks, so many bottlenecks, and lead to ignoring perhaps unconventional but valuable opportunities. Now, listen, I understand nobody has a crystal ball, but we do know that due to technological advancements and socioeconomic factors, the job market is constantly evolving. So, adaptability and staying abreast of industry development is crucial for navigating future career opportunities, right? Take ownership of that. The third thought that I hear, limiting belief, is my manager knows what's best for me, or some version of they know what I want, or they know where I want to go. Now, while your manager can support you and offer valuable insights, only you truly understand your aspirations and your potential. Now, I've had so many clients face manager turnover, it's a thing, and finding themselves questioning why they hadn't been considered is one of the things that they find themselves questioning while they're still there. And many times, as I mentioned before, it's not the first time, right? So they find themselves in the position of proving, which is a podcast for another time. But this hurts my heart so much because, of course, you're angry, you're frustrated about it. And there's always something underneath that anger. Anger isn't about anger, there's something underneath there. It's hurt. And what results of that is being disengaged, being frustrated, right? Not being as energetic and not bringing the full self that you have toward your work. I get it. I understand it, right? And it's not serving you. Now, the fourth thing that I think is limiting is the I'll wait for the next promotion cycle. It's coming. Listen, waiting leads to missed chances, lateral moves, or skill development. Now, I was reading an article this weekend about leading for today and tomorrow. It was talking about capabilities for a changing world and identified that the best leaders are those who go above and beyond by tapping into employee training programs and assisting in co-designing new roles to advance both employee development and organizational priorities. So if you're going to wait, just look around and see what is it that maybe doesn't exist? What is it that you see the pain points for that you can work with your leader, work with talent, work with HR, and potentially create something new that doesn't exist today? I mean, the job market today, we could have never anticipated the roles or what we would be living with today 5 years ago. And the same will be true 5 years from now, right? So this brings me to the last thought that again doesn't serve anyone, which is some version of like, I can't ask, it's not my place to seek out opportunities. And what I want to say about that is taking initiative is essential for career growth. If you think that it's not your place to seek opportunities, your career is already limited and you're doing it yourself. So, how can you take control back of your career? First, set clear goals. Define your short and long-term career aspirations clearly. Know what it is that you want and outline the steps, including the skill gaps to get there, regardless if it's with your organization or not. The fact is, you won't know unless you explore and try. The worst that could happen is you're in the same place. The best that could happen is you bring your future closer to you. Network. right? Networking with colleagues from different departments or joining industry groups can be super useful to you. Build relationships within and outside your organization to learn. And in doing that, you can open so many doors to opportunities that aren't publicly advertised. I literally just joined a peer networking forum, and within the first week of my being there, I haven't even met the people yet. Someone was reaching out to me about whom I know within HR to recommend for a particular role. This is super useful to know. And you might not have this lens or visibility to that is even a thing, right? So whatever profession you're in, doesn't matter. There are networking associations you can tap into. So do that for yourself. You can also seek feedback. Regularly ask for feedback from mentors, your peers, your supervisor, and use the feedback to improve and adjust your career strategies. Ask people what they love about working with you, what talents they might see in you that maybe you don't see, right? What other functions or roles do they think that you might be a good fit for? If nothing else, it can broaden your perspective. And at the most, it can help you advocate for yourself, right? This is the next one. Advocate for yourself. Don't wait for others to recognize your potential. Like, don't wait. Demonstrate a proactive attitude. Track your accomplishments. And even if you have chosen to wait, there are things that you can do, right? Track your accomplishments, track your contributions so that you can demonstrate your readiness for other roles and prepare for and document them in your annual reviews, right? Don't leave it blank. Like, put in your value. Have your value speak for itself, because that could be something that makes it into the talent and HR space when they look at, some organizations do audits. There's so many things that happen in that space, right? But initiate regular conversations with your leaders, HR and talent. Ensure those functions understand your ambition. Have them with have those conversations with them, but also have those conversations with yourself, right? Set aside some time to reflect on your career and think about, like, how am I advocating for myself? How can I advocate for myself more? Who am I advocating to? Maybe even think about creating a power map, like who are the people that you know are the decision makers? How can you get closer to them? Who do you know that knows them that can introduce you to them? There's so many creative ways. And the last thing to think about is like just continuous learning, investing in your development through courses, certifications, learning new skills, working with coaches. Some clients of mine are creating and seeking out speaking engagements so that they can share their perspective and build their networks, right? There's so many creative ways. So, actually, one of my clients that I'm working with right now is positioning themselves to attain a C suite role within learning and development. And what's interesting for them is they're actively having networking conversations both inside and outside of their organization. They've defined a strategy for talking to recruiters, for reaching out to individuals they already know in these types of roles that they're wanting for themselves, and just like having conversations about what is it you love about this role? What is it you don't love about this role? They've done some research on organizations that align with their core values, because they're at this point in their career, they're choosy about who they want to work with. Of course, right? And you get to choose that too. So not only are they carving out time within their already busy schedule, which they are, to do this kind of work, they've decided to become a thought leader in the space based on a gap that they saw in their research that they could fill with their unique perspective. They've begun writing articles to share their thoughts, ideas, and perspective to serve other learning organizations within the context of how to implement and leverage AI. And what's so fun to see is that instead of feeling stressed and frustrated, which was the case when we started working together, by taking the reins of their career direction, they're showing up for themselves and they're discovering so many more ways to contribute and add value. And it's left them feeling so fulfilled and energized to keep going for themselves. The cherry on top, as if that isn't enough, is that they actually, because they took this chance not to leave it to chance, they're building skills and opportunities and confidence along the way. And not only is it creating more opportunities, they are having so much fun. So, all this to say, we've talked about a lot of things today, but I want to invite you to observe, to recognize, and to overcome your own limiting thoughts and instead actively seek opportunities. Continuously develop your skills so that you can ensure your career path aligns with your professional goals and your professional aspirations. Now, while talent departments HR departments and managers play essential roles within the context of your career progression. Your progression lies in your hands. It's time to take the reins of your career, even if it's that dual effort that I talked about 49% for the company and 51% for you. You can share that because here's the thing if not you, who, right? What can you consciously create with your 2%? So I hope this was helpful. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Who Are You to Lead Anyway podcast. I appreciate you. If I have missed something, if you have a different circumstance, if you have a different scenario, you want support, if there was something else that you want me to kind of share or to talk about, like get in touch with me. Send me a DM, send me a voice note. Either way, I hope that today's episode has inspired you to take charge of and responsibility for your career. And I will see you back here next week, same time, same place. Make it a great one. Goodbye. Hey there, it's Cynthia. Thanks for being a part of the Who Are You to Lead Anyway journey. Join my newsletter for exclusive updates and resources. Get a complimentary self discovery workbook at www.cynthiajamesoncoach.ca. Your feedback shapes this show, so share your thoughts. And if you love the podcast, help spread the word. Thanks for investing in your leadership growth. Let's thrive together.